Out of the sand dunes of Jaisalmer, this spectacular fortress rises like a mirage, an epic rendered in golden sandstone, thrilling both in its majestic splendor and ethereal quality. The fort, one of the most romantic and spectacular of all the Rajput forts, was built by the Bhatti king Raval Jaisal in 1156 AD. The Bhatti Rajputs claim their descent from the Lunar or Yadu race of Lord Krishna. Legend has it that this clan of Rajputs constructed about 9 forts all over India, like Mathura, Kashi, Prayag, and the 9th one at Jaisalmer. On the advice of a hermit named Isa, he laid the foundation of this fort in July 1155. It took almost 7 years to complete this massive structure. This is Suraj Pol, or the main entrance. This structure was built in the year 1594 by Maharaval Bhim Singh. The Mardana part of the palace was meant for the men and outside visitors. The Zenana of the fort palace, where the family and the women resided. Maharaval Gaj Singh constructed this elegant building in 1884, popularly known as Gaj Vilas. The Raval gave audience to his people from this balcony. At this Johar Tower, the wives of 2 Rajput rulers committed sati. The first at the time of Raval Mool Raj and Jait Singh, who fought against Alauddin Khilji, and later during the Dudha Raval's time when Tughlaq attacked Jaisalmer in 1325. Thousands of Oswal Jains once migrated to Rajasthan and made it their home. A cluster of Jain temples can be seen inside the fort. This fascinating temple of Parshvanath was constructed by an Oswal Seth named Jai Singh. The Jain community are known to be very religious, and the wealthy merchants have been responsible for the construction of beautiful temples. Jaisalmer flourished as an important trade center of western Rajasthan, connecting the Silk Route. The prosperity of the trading community is reflected in these havelis. These magnificent houses were made by the Patwas, a class of businessmen who traded in zari, gold, and silver ornaments. The architecture is Indo-Saracenic, a blend of Rajput and Islamic influences that were brought to Jaisalmer by the camel caravans from Afghanistan, Persia, and beyond. Jali work in Indian architecture has its origin in the Hindu tradition. This professional group of singers belongs to the Mangniyar community. One literary content of the song highlights the beauty in nature and stories of love of the people. And as the sun sets on this vast expanse of the city, the fort appears once more like a dream against the setting sun. Jaisalmer remains as a tribute to the glorious history of the Bhatti Rajputs.
পুরুলারি নানান চলে আমরা নাচে গানে মত হয়ে মহুয়া ফুল রসে ওগো মহুয়া ফুল রসে ভুলে থাকি সকলে ভুলে থাকি সকলে পুরুলিয়া জেলারি নানায় অঞ্চলে।
In the dry, infertile land of Purulia in West Bengal, the range of the Ayodhya mountains stands as a symbol of freshness amidst the barrenness. Similarly, the inspiration of the heat-affected men lies in the Jhumur songs and Chhau Nach. The aridity and poverty has not suppressed the pure bliss of melodies and rhythms of Chhumur, Tushu, Bhado and Karam songs. Neither could this barrenness stop the outburst of passion from within through the brisk movements of the Chhau Nach. The origin of the word Chho seems to be obscure. The attempts have been made to derive it from various Sanskrit or indigenous roots like Chhaya, Shang, or the Mundari word Chok, which means ghost. The choreographic language of Chho is partly issued from old rituals and possession dances associated with the primitive worship of Shiva. Influences of folk and tribal dances like Natua Nach, Pata Nach, Kap Chhap, Paik Nach, and even the hunting dances of the Ho tribes are present in its structure. In course of time, all these influences became intimately blended so as to build the architecture of today's Chho. Today, this use of the mask is integrated in the dance itself, and all the techniques of the dance have developed on the basis of its use of the masks. These image makers invented the technique of making masks for Chho. They bear the professional surname of Sutradhar, meaning a carpenter. To begin with, they made the masks of wood and ultimately themselves introduced the present practice of making pulp and clay masks. It is due to these artisans that today's Chho is the mask dance par excellence of Bengal. This dance is not bounded by the efforts or patronage of an individual alone, but it is the product of the people as a whole.
Goa, the land of swaying palms, miles of golden beaches, and lush greenery. Its magnificent churches and monuments are a unique cultural synthesis of East and West. Since the landing of Vasco da Gama at Calicut, the Portuguese were looking for a permanent base to control the seas. Goa, with its natural harbors and navigable rivers, provided the perfect location for a strong base station. In 1510, Afonso de Albuquerque finally succeeded in driving out the forces of Adil Shah from the city of Old Goa. This is what has remained of the famous Adil Shah Palace in Old Goa. To mark this victory, immediately after the battle, the Portuguese built the Viceroy's Arch in 1557. The structure was rebuilt completely in 1954. The arch is made of laterite, except for the greenish granite facade. Goa Vela, or Old Goa, under Portuguese domain, attained considerable fame, rivaling Rome in splendor with its lofty churches, convents, and private buildings. In 1560, Old Goa was the second largest city in India after Fatehpur Sikri and the fifth largest in the world. For the Portuguese of the 15th and 16th centuries, any conquest or colonization was done with religious zeal. Christianity had all the necessary royal backing to establish its roots firmly in the soil of Goa. The first religious order to settle in the city was the Friars Minor, commonly known as the Franciscans. The lime-plaster structure of the convent and church of St. Francis of Assisi is built of laterite blocks in Tuscan order. The west-facing main entrance is a fine example of Manueline style, popular in Portugal, named after King Manuel. The nave, with 3 chapels on either side. Adjacent to the Church of St. Assisi is Say Cathedral, the biggest church in Asia for the Dominicans. The church is built on a raised plinth of laterite, covered over with lime plaster. This cathedral was built by the Portuguese government for the Dominicans over a period of 75 years. Architecturally, Portuguese Gothic in style, the exterior of the building is Tuscan and the interior Corinthian. It has been recognized as a World Cultural Heritage Site by UNESCO. The inscription in Latin records. In 1562, in the reign of King Dom Sebastio, this cathedral was ordered to be erected. The bell tower has the legendary golden bell. The bell was cast in Goa at the foundry of the arsenal in 1652. Its name comes from a Portuguese poem that has immortalized this famous bell. The main altar is dedicated to Saint Catherine of Alexandria. The martyrdom of the saint. The barrel-vaulted structure with gilded altar shows that the church was modeled after the Church of St. Peter's in Rome, the throne of the Archbishop. The papal bull, or the Pope's document of 1543, raised this church to the rank of a cathedral or the bishop's church.
Jalaluddin Muhammad Akbar, the greatest of all monarchs in the entire span of medieval Indian history, was regarded as a visionary. A man of superhuman powers. As his court historian, Sheikh Abul Fazl writes,
every enterprise that his sublime genius of the Shehenshah engaged in was accomplished with greatest ease, however difficult it might appear to ordinary eyes.
At the age of 16, Akbar decided to shift his capital from Delhi to Agra in 1558 AD. He could clearly envisage the strategic importance of Agra, which no doubt was more suitable as a capital than a place like Delhi. And thus, Badalgarh, an existing fort on the banks of Jamuna, was pulled down, and the foundation of Agra fort was laid.
His Majesty has built a fort of red sandstone, the like of which travelers have never recorded. It contains more than 500 buildings of masonry, and it has beautiful designs of Bengal and Gujarat.